is Short-Term Rental Management, the show that is all about short-term rental property management with your host, yours truly, Luke Carl. Great to have you. I love you, Cash Flow Carl, Short-Term Rental Management. If you are looking for more bookings, better reviews, and more cash with your short-term rental property, you are in the right place. We're going to teach you everything you need to know about that stuff as far as self-management is concerned in the world of short-term rental real estate. And today I am honored to have a repeat offender, one of my best friends in life, and excellent co-host, Big P, the Godfather, Mr. Pavan Metarada, joining me once again to talk all things rental real estate. And particularly today, we are going to cover the evolution of short-term rental since we have both been in this business for a very long time. We're also going to talk about market saturation, everybody's favorite hot topic. And we're also going to read a little bit of listener mail. So it's great to have you. Short-term rental management. And a word from this week's sponsor.
This episode of the Short Term Show is brought to you by The Short Term Shop. If you're interested in buying a short-term rental in one of the top vacation markets in America, just go to theshorttermshop.com and click Get Connected with an Agent. If you purchase a home with the shop, you'll have access to all of our client-only benefits, such as training on how to manage your short-term rental. So we'll teach you everything you need to know, from how to set up your Airbnb and Vrbo listings, to how to use the property management software that you'll need to streamline your business, all the way down to helping you source your local boots on the ground like cleaners, handy people, etc. We've taught thousands of people just like you how to buy and manage their vacation homes from anywhere in the world. So head on over to theshorttermshop.com and click Get Connected with an Agent to get started. I do have to mention that we're brokered by EXP or else I get in trouble. We'll see you guys over there.
Short-term rental management, great to be here. Long hair Luke, Cash Flow Carl, the owner of the highest grossing property in Destin, Florida, 2023. That is me, man, having a great year, crushing it, loving life, and it is great to be here on Short-Term Rental Management with my co-host, with the most, best in the business, Pavan. This is the business we have chosen, Metarada. How you doing, buddy?
Now, doing great, man. Good to be here. Happy to see you again.
It's my pleasure, 100% my pleasure. We know each other a long time, and this guy's the best in the business. Huge influence on me, and just an honor. So thank you. Today, I want to talk about the evolution of the business. I want to talk about the fact that you've been around for a long time. I've been around for a decent amount of time, and things have changed a little bit. We're going to cover the saturation word that gets brought up constantly, but let's go back to your history. You started very early on, pre-Airbnb, or at least before anybody even knew what it was. So, what was it like back then?
Back in the old days.
Yeah.
And I've told the story before, so I'll keep it brief. But 2011, we bought our first property, quickly realized how much more money we could make and what a better experience we could provide for our guests if we managed it ourselves. At the time, it was PM websites and VRBO at the time, which is now called Vrbo. TripAdvisor actually was pretty big back then as well. I had a lot of bookings from TripAdvisor until it kind of went stale from a booking standpoint. So since then, we've seen a lot of change inventory wise. We've seen a lot of shift from PMs to self-managers. We've seen a lot of institutional money actually coming into the market and buying up properties. We've seen big PMs like Vacasa who are buying all the mom and pop shops and trying to make a go of it. But I still personally believe that a well-run self-managed operation will outperform a big, well-funded industrial, complex, as it were, because we care. We care more about our guests. We love our guests. We want them to have a good experience. I've had a ton of people get engaged at my properties, come back for their honeymoon, come back for their baby moon, anniversaries, and it feels good to be in this business and provide them with a great vacation. The big PMs don't care, right? They're just there to get money And I enjoy that part of it as well, but I also enjoy being able to provide a good experience for people that are on vacation. They're spending their hard-earned money to come to my property. I want to make sure they have a great time. So we've seen a lot more professional individuals like ourselves, right, who started off with spreadsheets and yellow legal pads, now using pricing tools and PMS software. There we go. There it is. So, technology has come a long way in the last 12 years. We can still use legal pads. Much more automation. I mean, you and I used to argue about pricing software. If you remember that, you were the anti-Price Labs. Actually, back then it was Beyond, right? Beyond Pricing was the first one. Oh, was I
really? I don't remember that. Do tell.
I'm like, dude, we have to do this pricing software. Like, no way, man. I don't trust it. I do my own pricing. I'm like, all right. Then I tried it, and now I'm making so much more money with this pricing software. You have to use it. And then we found Price Labs. The price point was a little better, and the ease of use was there as well. And haven't looked back.
Yeah, I think I do vaguely remember that. I think what happened is you were saying when the pricing softwares first came out, they were notorious for pricing properties very high, and they didn't have nearly the capability that they do now. So I vaguely, I do. I don't remember things in general, but I think what it was I was concerned. Because I'm an asses in the seats guy. I like my prices to be a little lower, and I'm a 365-day big picture guy rather than how much can I get for each, like tonight, can I get $1,000? I would rather just get that damn thing booked. And at the time, the pricing softwares kind of had a reputation for being the opposite. They were pricing things high and occupancy low. That being said, again, they didn't have the occupancy customizations and filling in the gaps and all that kind of stuff. They were very simple. And this really wasn't that long ago, but yeah, I do remember because I was like, I like the way I do it. I like my historical data. I like my enemy method. It's funny you mentioned that. I totally forgot all about that. Of course, today, huge fan. They have so many customizations and settings in these softwares now that, you could tweak it, till the end of the time and get everything exactly where you want it to be. And back then wasn't quite there yet. But yeah, you're right, man. I was anti for a minute. I totally forgot about that.
Game changer. Has been a game changer for both of us and for the industry in general. I think tools like that, like PMS software, easy to use PMS software has been a game changer. So enabling people like you and I to get an early start and a quick start up and running is definitely a big evolution from where we once started. I mean, now even Airbnb now does automatic messaging, right? That didn't exist. So I was texting or emailing every single guest manually, not too long ago, and that was a huge pain in the ass. So it's much easier now. It's still not passive, but it's much easier now than it ever was.
Yeah. Back in the day, it was fairly uphill in the snow both ways. It was a different experience. You had to, it's almost like we were pioneers in this thing, in the whole do-it-yourself kind of vibe. Although I never really felt like I was doing it myself. I felt like I was building a business, building a company. And then the softwares came along and changed everything. I almost don't know what it's like to come into this from a new person's perspective. I can imagine it's completely overwhelming with hundreds and hundreds of softwares to choose from, and you don't know who to trust, and everybody's a guru, and everybody's trying to sell you a class and everything else. None of that existed, period, when we first started. I tell this story a lot. I'm going to tell it again. When I very first started in the Smokies, there was like two other people on Airbnb that were clearly doing it themselves, And I enemy method this lady and gave her my phone. She got on the phone with me. And it was unheard of back then. She lived in Memphis and she was managing, I think she had 3 of them. And she had a big job, big full-time heavy job. And she was doing it. And I was like, man, if this person can do it, I can do it. I'm closer than she is. And I don't have, she was working like 80 hours a week, So it was literally like me and 4 other people in the Smokies on Airbnb. Of course, Verbo had been around a long time by then, but the whole Airbnb thing was new and it was scary. I will say in the grand scheme of things, not that much is different. It's again, I have a different perspective because we're like the old school vibe here. But at the end of the day, you're just providing a great place for people to have a vacation. And I'm super psyched that you brought up the guest thing. This is something that does not get talked about enough. Okay. The whole reason we are here, the entire point of all of this is to show these folks a great time on their vacation. Okay. We can't do it without our guests. They're wonderful people. Even when we hate their guts, they're wonderful people. They work extremely hard. They save all their cash all year long to come spend it on our house. And it's an amazing experience. It's a little stressful at times. Sometimes you get a bad guest, or a lot of times they don't realize how much money goes into actually making that thing function and that you're only making a fraction of that at the end of the day. But if you got to put that number one, it always has to be first. So we're off on a tangent here, but it's an important tangent. The guests have to be number one. That's why we are here. We love them. And let's never forget that. But yeah, so, the evolution of the softwares, which really hasn't been that long, and now I think we're to the point where it's overwhelming. It's like, how do I even know which one of these to pick? So that has definitely changed. I'll say another thing that's changed. Some of these new hosts are like crushing it. There's some new hosts. Every now and then I'll do some enemy methoding and I'm like, dude, who is this? Like, where did this property come from? Their pictures are out of sight. Their artwork on the walls is dynamite. I mean, it's like, they got like a freaking a pizza oven or whatever, like all this crazy stuff. And it never would have existed back when we first started.
Putting greens.
Yeah. So I look around at my neighbors and I'm like, wow, this has changed. And it's very rare. I mean, it's only like one in a couple of hundred hosts. But I've also, let me tell you this. I've seen some of these new hosts with all this crazy fancy stuff and this beautiful house, like way over the top. And their calendar still doesn't look that great because they suck at pricing. It's gotta be an all-in-one deal, right? You gotta stick to brass tacks. You really do, man. And pricing is always, in my opinion, going to be number one. So just because somebody has this beautiful, glorious, super house or whatever, that doesn't mean that it's going to be, too much competition. Because I have seen that where this house was like, and the calendar was up because they're priced it too high, or maybe they have to price it that high to get booked. I don't know, because they spent all this money on amenities, or who knows, and then that brings me to saturation. We hear this word all the time. That was not a thing when you and I first started. It never been brought up. I will say that I do hear that word in all aspects of life now. Cars, running, every other things that I do, motorcycles. Saturation gets brought up constantly. And here's my take on that. Okay, here's my take on that. If you're worried about what the other folks are doing, then you're just sucking at it. You can't be worried about that. You got to be better than everybody else, or you're never going to make it. And that's with everything in life. Okay, so perfect example. You want to be a pest control guy? Like, let's say I want to start my own pest control company. You're from Ohio, in Cleveland, Ohio, Toledo, Ohio. Well, guess what? There's already 100 other pest control companies there. So you can say, well, it's saturated. I'm going to give up on this idea before I even started. And by the way, to open a pest control company is going to cost you way the hell more than a down payment in most cases, Well, I don't know. Don't quote me on that, because down payments can get pretty high, but it ain't going to be cheap to start any kind of business. And we are starting a business here. And if you are going into this worried that there are so many other people doing what you are doing, then you don't belong here. It's just like, it's a waste of your time. If you're worried about somebody else knocking you out and not putting bookings on your calendar, quite frankly, you're just kind of a loser. You're gonna get stopped before you start. Same thing with running. I already mentioned running. I go to the starting line. Let's saturation. I go to the starting line at a race. Right, I've been training this thing for 5 months. I show up at the race. Now, too many people at this starting line. It's saturated. I'm just gonna go home. I'm not even gonna try. It's ridiculous.
Gotta run the race.
I'm not even going to run the race. But let me put it this way. If the area is not saturated, then you're probably in the wrong damn area. You know what I mean? So if there's not 100 other people on your block doing this, then it's probably not even illegal or something. You know what I mean? Like, to me, the saturated area is exactly where you want to be, because all you got to do is go in there and be better than everybody else. And clearly, this is an area that wants us to be doing short-term rental because there's an ass load of them. So all I got to do is go in here and be better than everybody else. It's exactly why I called it the enemy method. And this is going back from day one. Day one, I was looking around, and people say it's so much different now. It's so saturated now. I was busting my ass day one, back before IGMS and all this other crap. Looking at my competition, what is this guy doing? I got to be better than him. That's why I called it the enemy method. You know, stalking your competition has been around for 1 billion years, but I just happened to name it, you know, and I came up because I was considering these people my enemies. And this was like 10 years ago. You're my enemy. You're saturating my market, and I'm going to take you down because I'm better than everybody, and I'm hungry, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it. You know what I mean? So, anyway, soapbox on the saturation thing. To me, it's not good. You don't want 1 million other people doing exactly what you're doing, but at the same time, in a lot of ways, it is pretty good. You know, I think it's a good thing.
It's a good thing. I mean, the regulations are there. I mean, you guys preach this, the short-term shop, right? Regulations are set. You have to worry about any surprises. Like I said, that could be illegal. It's not. I think we're seeing a lot of property shift from professional property management companies to individual owners like us. So while it may seem that it's more saturated, I think inventory Airbnb is up like 5%. So 5% is not oversaturated. 5% is a healthy increase. And a bulk of that, I think, is people moving from PMs and putting the properties on the OTAs where they weren't listed before. They were not on Airbnb. They were not on VRBO, Vrbo. And you know, I bought 3 properties this year, so I'm still buying, about 4 last year. So I still think there's plenty of space out there for a good operator to work and to make money in this environment, and in a true vacation market. I think some of the urban markets can be a little more challenging. I'm not saying they're not good, but I prefer the vacation markets. Could like to go there, and I think people like to go there, and it's primed. And infrastructure is set for people like us to work remotely.
Yes, you bring up an excellent point. Okay, so tons of people have this business has exploded. Let's not make no mistakes. Okay, in the last 3 or 4 years with COVID and the whole 9 yards, it was one of those businesses that went nuts, like motorhomes went nuts. You know, and this business did explode for real. So yes, I get it where you could come with this saturation thing. But here's another thing. Besides the fact that all you have to do is be better than the other guy. Okay. Here's another thing. I would say 90+% of these deals, these short terms, are owned by either somebody who's got it with a professional property manager and doesn't care, or somebody who doesn't have it with a professional property manager and doesn't care. The vast majority of people just put it up for rent and forget about it. They plug in price slabs. They never look at their price slabs. They don't care. And quite frankly, they don't need to care. They probably shouldn't care. Let me paint you a picture. You got a husband and wife sitting at the dinner table. He wants a boat. She wants a condo. Which one are they going to get? They're getting the condo, you know? So now all of a sudden we've got this property because I wanted to go sit on the beach and hang out with my kids, and we had some extra money, and I was sick of spending money on somebody else's condo. So we bought our own condo. 2 years later, they forget they got it. They don't care. If it's not a squeaky wheel, it doesn't matter, right? And in the grand scheme of rental real estate, most people have extra dough. There's not a lot of people out there that can just go buy real estate that don't have any money, you know? So most of the time you're dealing with folks that didn't care about that. You know, it was a toy. It's a toy. And if my property manager or if my wife or my husband, whoever's managing it, is calling me and saying, hey, it's going to be $1,800 this month. Sorry, we were a little short and we didn't have any bookings and the water heater died. You know, if you keep hearing that over and over again, yeah, you're probably going to end up selling it in 2 or 3 years. But if you don't ever hear about it, man, what in the world is wrong with a piece of real estate sitting there that you don't hear about just chugging right along? And I think that for real is like the vast majority. I'm telling you, 90+% of who owns rental real estate, that's exactly the box that they fit in. What do you think?
I know they're not listening to this podcast for sure. So,
Bam.
the ones that are
And
get
the good news is for the folks that are worried about saturation, only 6 people listen to my podcast. So you're only competing with 6 people. All right. Anyway, go ahead. Sell with the short-term shop. Are you looking to sell your short-term rental or even 1031 into a different property? Our team of realtors will work hard to get you the most for your investment. We are experts in our field and would love to earn your business. When it's time to sell, call the shop. TheShortTermShop.com. That's TheShortTermShop.com. Brokered by EXP.
It's if you're a serious operator, you can make money in this business if you pay attention, you put the time in. I agree. You have to have money to get started, or at least a little bit of money to get started. I mean, you're a good story, right? You started with very little and now have a lot. But you cared and you were hustling, right. And you're in the podcasts, you were reading books, you were visiting properties, you're obsessing over your listing every day. And it takes that kind of commitment to be able to make a difference in this industry today. To make money, yeah, you can buy a second home and it pays for itself. You're happy, you can use it. That's fun too. That's not who we're talking to, right? Or that's not what we're focused on here. We're focused on how do we run an efficient, profitable business. And my goal with our business has always been to scale it big enough that I don't have to spend a ton of time on it. So I'm happy to operate at a 90% level, because squeezing that last 10% is a ton of work, and I don't have to do that. But 90%, like a 90% occupancy, for example, for me is a win. I'm very, very happy with that across the portfolio of 32 properties.
That when it was baller, it's baller is what that is. You're crushing it. You're absolutely crushing it. But yeah, with change comes opportunity. Okay. And there's been a lot of change in the business, in every business. And if you're not growing, you're dying, man. And we're fruit. At the end of the day, we're fruit. If we're not growing, we are dying. You've got to keep up. Watch me for the changes and try to keep up, as Michael J. Fox would say on Back to the Future. So, what we need to do? What we need to do is have somebody that's new on and talk to them about their experience with all these softwares and how overwhelming it was. I would love to have that happen, because you are talking to too gray. I got the gray hair going on, and we've been doing this a while, and our perspective is maybe a little different. But I'm here to tell you, stuff's not changed that much. But if you want to be on the show, guest at strmshow.com. Guest at STR. It's an email address, by the way. I had somebody tell me, Luke, I went to that website and it wasn't there. Well, it's an email address. Guest at strmshow.com. By the way, speaking of, I want to read some mail. Let's read some mail. I had a piece of mail from a listener. I will not name his name, but the subject says condo problems. Okay. This is a very long email. All right. Let's see. Condo problems with our condo. From the time we made the offer, communication with the selling side this is a 20-point bullet list. So we're going to do our best here. I don't want to take everybody's time, but let's just walk through some of these things that, as we change subjects now, this is what new folks have to go through sometimes, but anyway, here we go. First time, made an offer. The communication on the seller side was terrible. We had many problems with them, but the main one was finding out the date that they had the condo rented after closing. Okay, so in other words, how long and how many bookings did they have after they closed? And what are you doing when the seller's difficult, not communicating with the agents and things like that?
I mean, I've dealt with so many sellers these days. I'm very low maintenance. I'm a low maintenance buyer, right? I know if it's the deal, the numbers work for me for the deal, I could put up with a non-committed seller because I already know what I need. I know I just got to get to the closing line, the closing table. And so only time I'll have issues will be inspection, right? So, but there's a deadline for that. They have to respond, I think, within 3 days after you submit the inspection reports. So, I let them off the hook a lot, because for me, if the deal is worth it, I can put up with, difficult with sellers. And I'll be honest with you, a lot of those times, those sellers will come back to me and offer me off-market deals because I was so easy to deal with. So like, hey, you bought one for me last year. I got 2 more for sale. You want them? I'm like, okay. So I find that you can't hold on to that. You gotta let it go. And they probably don't care. They're busy. They're doing stuff. So
yeah.
Or they may be upset because they have to sell it. Maybe they're in a rough family situation. They're be forced to sell, and they're unhappy about it. I had that. The one I bought in March was like that. Husband and wife are getting divorced. They didn't want to sell, but they had to, and they were being really difficult. But it worked out at the end. I got what I wanted. I got the price I wanted, and the concessions that I needed at inspection to get the deal done.
Yeah, I agree. You got to build a reputation as a buyer. You need to be easy to work with. And this is something I've dealt with over the years because I've traditionally been not easy to work with in life. But when it comes to buying real estate, dude, I make myself as easy as possible. It was a lesson I had to learn the hard way in the early days. But you get a reputation with your agent and the other agents out there, the seller agents or whoever, every agent in the market. This agent's got a buyer that's real easy. Let's go to them. I don't even have to list it. Let me send her a text. That guy's probably going to buy it, So now to get to that point is difficult, but I agree. Let's see what we got here. Okay, during the final walkthrough, there was water all over the floor. Figured out it was the refrigerator. We planned to replace it in January, so we went ahead with closing. Turns out there was no drip pan under the fridge. We couldn't find one anywhere to replace it. They don't make it anymore. How did the owner not know about this problem? The listing agent told us he thought the drip pan was full. So he's saying that giving the illusion there that the seller did know that it was dripping. And guess what? He probably did. He doesn't care. He's selling the house. What does he care? Get rid of it. So you see water on the floor. You think it's coming from the fridge. Pavon, where I come from, you get a new damn fridge. I'm buying a house of any kind. I just assume that all that shit's got to be replaced. Now, when you're new, it's expensive and it's scary and it's a pain in the ass. You don't have your systems in place. If I need to buy a new fridge today, I know exactly who to call. I know exactly what model I want, and just done. They got my card on file. I don't even have to think about it. I usually don't even make the call. It's one of my guys will make hey, John, can you call? We need a fridge over here at unit number blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? I'm sure you feel the same on that one.
I agree. Going into a deal, I have my budget for what I think it's going to take to get it to my standard, and I add another 50% on top of that just for stuff like that. And I build it into the deal. So I know that. Yes,
that's the right way to do it. But if, let's say I don't have any money, you still got to understand that you're going in there renting an old ass fridge, and probably something's going to happen. So you're on borrowed time. You're on borrowed money with that refrigerator. And if you want to ride, if it's leaking all over, you don't have a choice. It's got to go, so forget about this drip pan. Drip pan. What the hell is that? You're going to ruin your floors, then you got a bigger expense.
And your neighbor's ceiling underneath you.
In a condo. Absolutely. It's going to drip all the way through. Yep. Let's see what we got here. All right. The condo was filthy from the previous renters. Dirty dishes, food in the refrigerator, sheets on the floor of the laundry room. The floors were so filthy, our socks were black. What do you make of that?
Clean it.
Yeah.
You got to clean it. No one's going to clean as well as your team is. Every property you buy, you go in and do a deep clean right away. Not the first thing. Once you finish the upgrades, the next thing is deep clean. And by deep clean, get it everything underneath, behind the appliances, inside the cabinets, the floors. Obviously, you can't expect it to come to you that clean. They say broom clean, right, when you buy a property, and sometimes you don't even get that. So I've had to pay extra on some properties to clear the trash out of the garage, or I had to pay $2,000 to get rid of tires. On one of my properties, I had like 50 tires stacked up behind that they didn't take. It's part of the deal. But you got to clean, man. You can't expect it to come clean that way. Get your cleaning team in there, pull all the trash out, do what you got to get your work done, and then send that back in to clean it.
Yeah. See, I think this listener is trying to imply that they were getting screwed over here or something like that. But quite frankly, this is this is starting to get a little annoying with as much stuff as he's got here. But you buy rental real estate, it's going to have some quirk. Go buy a long-term rental. Go buy a long-term rental that has a tenant in it. Let's say you buy a long-term rental that's got a tenant in it, and the tenant moves out the day before you close. I'm going to tell you right now, that thing is going to be trashed. Trashed. You're talking about dirty socks. Forget about it, man. All right, what else do we have here? The old cleaning crew wouldn't bring us the keys to the owner's closet. We finally got them on Wednesday, a week and a half after closing. That's a very good point. I guess it's our job to make sure folks realize, at least where I come from, no matter what kind of house you're buying, rental, primary, short-term, whatever, midterm, multifamily, you're going to be swapping those keys out. I mean, when I buy a short-term, I almost never even get keys. It's always a push button. And a lot of times they don't know the code, or they forget to give you the code, or you got to call the old property manager. There's all this shenanigans and nonsense. Do you have a key system there, or are you just planning to replace them, everything?
My system, I replace the first thing I do when I buy a property is put new locks on. Put in my new smart lock and a lockbox with the key in it as backup. That way I don't need to make copies. Owner's closet key, I do like it when they give it to me, but if they don't, you just bust it off and get a new one. So I definitely get all new keys for the rekey all the external locks to one key to the new one, and then put that in a lockbox.
Absolutely. The dishwasher sounded like a jet engine. We didn't even hear the TV when it ran. We're going to go ahead and get new. Anyway, so yeah, dishwasher's busted. So here's the thing. It's starting to sound like this person didn't go to the property. Okay. So, because if you go to the property for the inspection, or even on the inspection report, they should be running the dishwasher and giving you this information. Maybe you didn't get a good inspector, who knows? But you got to go to the property. Now, if you don't go to the property, which I've done many times, I'm sure you have as well, you need to understand that this stuff is going to happen. You need to be prepared for the unknowns, because if you haven't been there and touched it, felt it, smelled it, you don't even know what you're getting yourself into here. So now, can you buy a property without going to look at it, which it sounds like this person did? Yes, I've done it many times, but I knew what I was getting myself into. And again, in his defense, with experience, the first couple of times you buy a property, all this stuff is crazy scary, but you get better at it. And you almost get to the point where it's all old hat. And you don't even care anymore. What are your thoughts on going pre-closing inspection? When do you go, or does it change every time?
I mean, there's one property I haven't even seen yet, so I don't go every time. Yeah. In fact, I rarely go until after it's decorated and ready and pretty, so I can sleep in it. I definitely have a good inspector that does look at stuff like dishwasher. So if that got missed on the inspection, that's bad on the inspector. Or I also get at least two sets of eyes to go through it as well. So the inspector goes through, then I have my housekeeper come through as well, who's going to be responsible for maintaining it, and go through with her eye to make sure she sees, because she'll see things that maybe don't rise to the level of inspection. There's a leak here, not only a leak here, but this is cracked, or this floors are kind of run down, this carpet needs to be replaced, other things, the decor needs updated, blah, blah, blah. So, I'll get at least two sets of eyes, and if I have questions on things on the inspector raised, I'll have her follow up on that as well. And then if I need to bring a third set in, like a specialist for a foundation or whatever, I'll do that. But I find as long as I have two sets, it seems to work out pretty well. So like I said, I bought 3 this year. I didn't see them until after close. And one of them I haven't seen yet at all. And it's been up and running for, a month and a half.
Yeah. I bought apartment buildings without going to look at them. Now, do I recommend doing that? No. You definitely, especially if you're new, you need to get your ass over there. You need to get over there. I'm talking to a guy yesterday, and he's had his house for 2 years. He's not getting any bookings. And it came out that he's never been there in 2 years. And I'm like, well, you don't even know what you're doing wrong, because you've never, and he's new, it's not like you, he's got 100 of these things, and he's got a system that repeats itself. This guy's got one property, never seen it in 2 years, and his calendar's empty. It's like, well, dude, pretty good place to start with. Get your ass over there and touch it and feel it, And again, this email starting to sound like this guy's probably just a noob. And here's the good news, Mr. Email, Mr. Listener. You're going to look back and forget you even sent this email. You know what I mean? In 2 years or 6 months, when you got a calendar that's full and all this stuff has been fixed, you're not even going to know or care. You're going to be like, wait, what? Did I send you an email? I forgot. I don't even know what you're talking about. Now, I will also say this guy seems to be handling this stuff pretty well. He mentioned here after the dishwasher, he said he went ahead and bought all new appliances for $3,200. You have no choice. So what are you going to do? Try and file some sort of lawsuit against the seller? I mean, come on. Just go buy new appliances. And $3,200 for a nice set of appliances. That sounds like a pretty decent deal in today's market. So he's doing a good job of it here. He's just, working out his kinks and kind of getting his legs under him. Let's see. Let's do one or two more here. There are many of them. The fire inspector didn't show up for the inspection to get the business license. It took him over a week and a half. Yeah, you're going to have to plan on stuff like that. Anytime you're relying on other people, you never know what to expect. And it's one of those things where now that you've done this, you'll line it up in advance for the next time so you don't have to waste that week and a half.
Exactly.
Yep. Fire extinguisher was expired. Both of the smoke alarm batteries were dead. And that one that should have been wired was replaced with non-wired. Okay. Well, that's another thing I do. Hey, man, fire safety is a huge deal in rental and real estate in general. Rental real estate. You don't want to lose your house, man. So every time I buy a property, first thing I do, brand new smoke detectors. Boom. And if they're wired already, I make sure I wire them again. If they're not wired, then, maybe I'll put in Wi-Fi. You can get Wi-Fi ones now that'll talk right to your phone and go straight to 911 or your security system or whatever the case may be. Put it on the list. This guy, I feel bad for this guy because it's almost like he's coming to me with this long list of lessons he learned. And I'm sitting here thinking like, I mean, good for you, man. You learn how to not do it like that next time. These are all good quality lessons learned here.
Lessons are expensive.
Yes. We tried to open the hide-a-bed couch. The whole side of the bed was not connected at all. All the bolt screws and springs were gone. I wouldn't open it all. Had to buy a new hide-a-bed. Yes. If you're buying a new short-term rental that's got furniture, you are buying a used-ass couch. And it's probably got, think of how many, there's might be some ladies listening. I'm not going to get into that stuff, but you get the idea. There's some gross stuff probably happening there if it even works. Now, again, I'm going to hope that in this guy's defense, I hope that it works so that I don't have to go buy one right away, or at least I did in my early days. Today, hell no. Most of the time I'm ditching everything or most of it. And I got a system. I got the furniture guy I like. He's got the couch I like. I call him up. They deliver the same shit in every house. So simple. Wasn't that you that gave me the paint quote? We were talking about paint colors or something.
Standardize, baby.
Standardize.
Yep.
You want a catchphrase? Standardize your stuff. You can't get to Pavon's level if you've got 100 different brands of deadbolts and 100 different toilet paper dispensers. Everything's got to be the same. Same paint color, same plumber, same toilets. I put the same toilets in every house. So that if that house breaks, it's the same guts. It's the same everything, So standardize. That's a good lesson for this person to learn here. I'll give you one more. Standardize. That's a Pavon original. Let's see. Cable TV box for the bedroom didn't work. It had no sound. Now the cable TV box has no sound on just a few channels. Has no sound on a few channels in the living room. Okay, so 2 cable boxes out. Good, man. That's great. Get rid of throw them in the trash. They're not even your boxes. They're the other guy's boxes. So you won't even get a fine, man, if you don't send them back. I'm trashing those sons of bitches, and I'm getting the highest internet I can get, and I'm putting on the Roku, and I'm cutting the cord, baby. What about you?
Same. Yeah, cable boxes, I get rid of them. I'll do Roku only. I think I've said it before. I share Hulu Live account for my properties where they're geographically co-located, so I could pay one subscription fee and use that for live TV at every single property. So it's much more cost effective. And I'm only paying for internet, right? I'm not worrying about the boxes dying, especially in the beach market here. The saltwater eats in those boxes constantly. So
absolutely.
Roku's the way to go.
Oh yeah, Roku's the way to go. So, this guy learned some valuable lessons. He said it cost him about $12,000 to get it up and running. And I'd say that's probably pretty par for the course. I don't know how many it didn't say how many bedrooms it was, but I would be, listen, at the point I'm in my career right now, as opposed to where I was when I first started, I would say first of all, he handled it well. And that's $12,000 worth of lessons he learned, and he won't have to do that again next time, or he'll just have that 12 grand ready to go, and then he'll know who to call. So
but now he has a nice property that's outfitted well, and hopefully won't have to worry about doing this down the future. So you got ahead of it from that perspective as well.
Absolutely.
Ouch.
Upstream, get upstream of it. Love it, love it, love it. Have you been reading any books? You got a book recommendation? Something you've been reading lately?
I'm reading trash right now. I'm reading I read a book called Rockonomics. You might like it. It's essentially how the rock and roll music industry is analogous to the broader economy, and how the top 1-2% of artists are making all the money, like Beyonce and Ed Sheeran, U2, Justin Bieber, and kind of the dynamics behind that. So
it's kind of a music and business book combined there.
It's a fun read. It's a little dry at times. It was written by an accountant, but it was an interesting book.
All right, cool. I just started a book called The Power of Place. Just started it, so I don't have anything to report, but I'll let you know if it was any good. So on behalf of Short-Term Rental Management, Cash Flow Carl, and Mr. Big P, Mr. Provine, the godfather of short-term rental, it's great to have you on the program once again, and don't overthink it.
Don't overthink it.